it's not that you just can't get past the yielding point. The people along with you and behind you can't get past it either.
I need to grow to a new level to get to where I want to be.
Don't complain. Don't catastrophize. Actually listen. And you can get past those yield points. You can move forward quicker.
Welcome back to the Growth Over Comfort podcast. I am your co-host, Randy Anderson, joined by my co-host, Coach Steve Miller. How's it going?
Fired up, ready to go.
It's been a whole year since we've...
At least a year.
A different year. We're both dads, so we have to make that dad joke.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah, I had a few people actually say that whole thing to me where they're like, I'll see you next year. And you're like,
Sure.
Still doing that.
We'll be here.
But it actually has been a minute since you and I have sat down and talked about stuff and then also even recorded an episode. So it's exciting to jump in today, and we've got cameras rolling and podcast recording. So I think we're good to go. I'm excited to just catch up. I think that's what this episode is going to be, right? Is just catching up.
Yeah, it's catch-up day.
Yeah, because it's been a few weeks.
Yeah,
maybe a month or so.
Seems like it.
Yeah, so we need to just talk about what's up, what are our biggest takeaways from 2024 going into 2025 and so forth and so on.
The big takeaway on my side is that you can gain a lot of ground in a little time, and you can lose a lot of ground in a little time.
Okay, I was going to say that was great news, but
yeah,
I would say then it's good and bad news.
It is good and bad news because I think we made some huge strides. Both of us in 2024. I believe there were things in 2024 that were unexpected on the positive side. And then for me personal, I gained so much momentum. And then coming in at the end of 2024, I had 4 big projects, like big deals. And 3 of those fell apart, like crumbled, like a sandcastle on the beach, got hit by a wave, just whoop.
Yeah.
1 minute it's there, you're excited, you're fired up.
Yeah.
The next day it's like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. Let's see what's happening. And that can be, on my part, if you're not careful, that can be like detrimental on the mental side where you're going, what's all the growth really worth?
Yeah.
I'm putting time in and, I'm getting hammered every other day. And all my sandcastles get knocked down. So, what am I really doing? And then I get comfortable. So.
Oh, I agree with you completely. It actually, I would say that's something I still need to work on a lot is when I have certain things that I think are going to line up and they get going, or maybe they're just about to get going and then they stop and they don't go, or they get delayed, but it mentally, it does affect you. One thing starts to fade, and then you can't carry that on because in your mind, because it affects everything else. But I don't know how to not feel it. When it's your business, when it's your livelihood,
right,
or your work, things you're passionate about, it really causes you to hit the brakes and just kind of be like, what?
Yeah, one of the things, I'm still coached by Coach Michael Burt. And, one of the things that he's been talking about, and he's been in with Price Pritchett for a while, who's the leading psychologist in mergers and acquisitions, like big deals, like a small company for him that he works with, it's 500 million plus.
Small fish.
Yeah, a little bit, not everybody works in that. But one of the things he's been talking about is the yielding point. And just like you yield on a road, it's that yielding point where you have to get past the yield or you can't go forward. And I don't know about you, but driving for me, especially, on the interstate where somebody's merging, there's a yield and somebody's coming in to merge and you give them plenty of room to merge, but yet they go ahead and stop anyway. So and then they're stuck.
Yep.
And there's nothing to do. And he said the big point is getting through and past the yielding point. And I think we all struggle with that.
That's really good. Yeah, I was curious where you were going with that, but that makes total sense because you always see them too. And if you're, and the worst thing is if you're ever behind those people.
Oh yeah,
because then you're stuck too. Because using that momentum, and oftentimes that's really it. Getting started, getting momentum, gaining momentum, keeping the momentum is hard.
Right.
Once you've stopped, starting back is even harder.
And the amazing thing that you just said, and I never thought about it until you said it right then. we're both in roles where people count on us.
Yeah.
And you built your company and working to continue to build and grow. People are counting on you. Yeah. Like your family counts on you. You have people that are employed counting on you. The community counts on you because you show up with certain things in the community. You give. I know you're a giver. It's not that you just can't get past the yielding point. The people along with you and behind you can't get past it either.
Yeah.
So when you stop,
yep,
a little bitty piece of the world stops. So
yeah, that's very true. And they either wait for you to start again, or oftentimes they'll scoot around you and they keep going because they got to keep going.
Right.
People can't just all stop. We got to keep going. And it's actually like Eli Gold's episode that we did. And there's a clip in there where he said, he's actually talking about surviving through cancer, but the words ring true for any traumatic thing, which is keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah. And it's funny, as I'm driving behind someone who starts and keep going, roll, go, what are you doing? Especially like even at a red light when they're turning right or no, they're turning left and they stop and you're just like, no, you got it. If you would have rolled, I could have crawled across there. You know? So anyway, yeah. But
seeing that opportunity and then not walking away from the opportunity when you're at the yield point. And you say, well, how do you do that? Price talks about not complaining. The first thing that I want to do when something happens is I start whining about everything involved in the deal. Like
it's not me at all.
No. It has no. There can be no Steve Miller involvement in this. This has to be everything else and everybody else in the deal. I didn't mess this up.
Right.
It couldn't have been me.
Right.
Maybe I should have listened a little better. Maybe I should have paid attention. We talked about contracts. All of those things come into play. And the other one he talks about is catastrophizing. Which means you go to the worst possible scenario in your head.
Yeah. Yep.
And we've talked about that on the podcast before, but how many times is somebody didn't call you back or they didn't text you back when you thought they should have texted you back, and in your mind you're thinking you go to the worst possible case. Well, they're out on the deal.
Yeah. They never want to work with me again.
Yeah, I don't know what I did to cause this, but it's there's a problem and I'll never get that deal and therefore I can't make payroll and I can't.
Yep.
When the truth is, they just couldn't get back with you that day.
They dropped their phone in the pool.
They dropped their phone in the pool, which happened one time with you.
That happened with me and a client. Yeah.
And I don't know what causes us to do that, but I do know that causes us to not get past a yield point. And then the other one is not, and when I say actively listening, that's a buzzword, but not actually listening to what the person is saying that's talking to you. But paying attention to what's going on in your mind. Because now you don't even know why they're walking away. You're only listening from your perspective, and you're projecting you onto them and thinking they're responding the way you would respond. In reality is, like I had this with another deal that I was working on, and I talked to a gentleman last week, and he's out. And I said, hey, can we talk, 2 or 3 days after? And he said, yeah. So I call him. He doesn't answer something. Well, he's out. Well, he calls the next day. And when he calls the next day, I just sit and basically listen for an hour.
Yeah.
And none of what I had in my head was right. Everything was, and he had very valid points on his side.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it when we talked the first time because I didn't care to. I didn't pay attention. So, don't complain. Don't catastrophize. Actually listen, and you can get past those yield points. You can move forward quicker.
Those are all really, really good points.
It's like lifting dough and eating right. Sounds good when you say it.
It sounds great when you say it, but it's hard in the moment.
Oh, I had that with a lot of swagger right there. I said it, confident. I feel good about myself.
Yeah. I catastrophize everything, probably, Like I hear a noise in my car as I'm driving and I go, there goes the entire engine.
Got to have another car.
Yep, that's going to be awful. That's going to cost $3,000 to get fixed. Might as well get something new. Not really, but
right.
Yeah, no, I do that a lot. I mean, when it comes to deals too, like I sent them that proposal and it has been 3 minutes and they've not thumbsed it up or, something ridiculous like that. When it's
Right.
like people take time to look at things, that people have other lives outside of you. I think a lot of what you said, maybe not every point, but you were saying something about you're not sure why some of that happens. Some of it, I think, happens because we have too big of an ego of ourselves. So when I start thinking that the issue of you not talking to me is something that I did, that's a selfish thing. Because I think that I matter so much that it's causing an issue in you, when in reality, you're your own person and you have a ton of things going on, and I'm just a very small section of your life. And it could be nothing about me.
Yeah. I'm going to make a confession, and this is no fun. The Bible talks about, don't esteem yourself.
Yeah.
The first shall be last, all of that stuff.
Don't take the best seat at the table, or otherwise the host may make you get up and
I'm
move.
going to give you the best seat at the table in just a second. So the whole deal of that is be very mindful of where you are. Be very mindful of your place. Be very understanding. So Cindy and I go to an event with Myron Golden.
Uh-oh.
Fired up.
Uh-oh.
Excited about the event. I'm a Myron Golden fan. If you don't know Myron Golden, look him up. My brother said that man is educated enough to be very dangerous. And it's Bible. It's scriptural, and he's business, and he's how to use the Bible to grow your business. And it is a fantastic, biblical way to grow your business. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I just love the way he speaks. I love how he, so we're excited. We're going to this live event with Myron Golden. Big deal.
Yeah.
So it's tables, and they're doing dinner. And we get there a little bit early, and we show up, and I want a good seat. So there's a table up front. And I thought, I'll sit at the table up front. So I talked to one of the guys that's hosting the deal, and I'm like, is there any special places where anybody sits? And they're like, no, you can just sit where you'd like to sit. So we sit down, and it's round tables, and you've been in these events. So I'm at this round table, and I'm all excited, and I'm fired up, and I've got the two good seats at the round table. I've got the one where you can sit and actually see, and Cindy's sitting at the other one where you can actually see. Perfect.
Yeah.
Except for we're sitting at Myron Golden's table.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the seat that Myron Golden's going to sit in. So the guy that runs the whole thing comes and goes, hey, this is Myron's table. You're sitting in Myron's seat. Do you mind moving? I literally said to Cindy before that, I'm like, I feel like I'm the Bible side. I think I'm, maybe we should have sat back there. And she's like, yeah, we probably should have. And then the guy literally walks over and goes, y'all need to move. And he wasn't mean, but he wasn't nice.
Yeah. Yeah. But was there any indication? You asked the guy if there was any assigned seating.
No, but I was sitting in a good spot.
Oh yeah. I mean, okay. So, but I don't blame you in the way, because
Right.
when we walk into a place,
Right.
I aim for those spots.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I have been at places where the doors open and it's first come, first serve.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard stories. I didn't see it. I heard a story about someone who threw a shoe, because if there was a belonging in that chair, that means it was your seat.
That's pretty cool.
And they all rushed in.
Yeah.
And they threw a shoe. Someone threw a shoe to
Yeah.
land in a chair in the front.
Yeah.
To get that.
Yeah.
It might have been at a church service.
It might have been a church service.
Anyway, so I get that. I get trying to be at the
Right.
seat, at the best seat. But I also understand what you're saying about how you kind of knew maybe I should have backed away a little bit.
I knew where I was at.
But you wanted that, right?
100%.
I mean, you didn't want his seat.
No. And we moved to the table behind, so I'm sitting beside Myron Golden, which is really cool.
Yeah. And I mean, it probably wasn't that embarrassing, right?
No, it wasn't.
Nah. Not for you, right?
No, not at all. If you know me, you know that's true. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Cindy, it bothered Cindy.
Oh yeah, it would bother Anna.
Yeah, it affected Cindy, but we were great. But those kind of things come into play where if you're looking at yourself, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with another person. Now, if you flip that and you're looking at yourself, the fitness piece has to pick up, my Bible study has to pick up, my actual action has to pick up. You need to look at yourself really hard in that.
Yeah.
Then identify and assess yourself in, I'm starting to work on that in every relationship I have. Mm-hmm. Like what kind of friend am I?
Yep.
How am I how am I presenting myself to the people in my life that matter?
Yeah.
So
That's an interesting topic. I have a thought on that, and I read this since the last time I saw you. I've been following this guy. His name is Andrew on Instagram, and he puts out a lot of interesting questions.
Yeah.
Because I guess he goes on runs or something, and while he's running, he thinks about these things. One of the statements he said, which I wrestle with, but it kind of is counterintuitive to what you just said. But I just want to talk about it. I don't know if it's true. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. Someone else's opinion of you is none of your business. And I think that can work, but only if, like you just said, you are taking care of those key areas of your life. Because if you're taking care of those key areas of your life, it will naturally take care of the relationship side, which is someone else. And then what they think of you doesn't matter because you're doing the right things that you should be doing. I think that his way of looking at it was that we get judged so much by other people and we let that weigh heavy on our hearts.
Yeah.
When in reality, as long as we are taking care of ourselves and doing what we should be doing by God, by our family and those closest to us and all that, then someone else's opinion of you is none of your business.
My favorite quote is walk in like God sent you.
Yeah. You've said that to me a few times.
Yeah. That's twofold. Number one, walk into the room like God sent you, because he did. You wouldn't be there if he didn't have you there. You're there for a reason. You're there for a purpose. Somebody in that room needs God, and you're the God for them, not your.
I know what you're saying. You're the
representation for God if you're doing it the right
ambassador.
way. Yeah, but the other side of that, you need to prepare yourself to walk into that room like God sent you.
That's big.
So you need to be ready for that. Like, you need to be prepared. You need to be ready for that. And I laughed. I'm about to be in a room Monday with people that on every level that I'm going to be on are 10 to 100 times more experienced and better than me at.
Sounds like a chance for growth.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Cindy's like, are you not intimidated by that? Does that not make you nervous? And I'm like, no, not really. I said, I think I'll be okay in there. And there's a curiosity piece, and I've learned to approach things this way. Do I belong in that room? Probably not. Not by what's on a resume, not by what's on a piece of paper. But for whatever reason, I've been invited and I'm going to be in there.
Yeah.
So I'll be sitting in there.
That's
the
great.
real question is for somebody in that room to be curious and go, all right, how did he get in here, number one? And number two, why is he in here?
Yeah.
Because somebody thought enough to put him in here. And if that person thought enough to put him in here, there may be something to him sitting right over there.
Yeah.
You may want to ask, instead of looking at the resume and going, hey, he don't really fit, you may want to go, why does he fit?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
A little bit bigger question.
Yeah. That's a good point. It reminds me of a funny story that I don't mind telling. I think it's been long enough. It's probably not too embarrassing at this point. And I might have already said it on this podcast. I don't remember, but it's okay. It's worth repeating because it fits exactly with that. One time I used to edit for this family vlogging channel, and it was actually, though, it was kind of a secret that I edited for them. No one really knew, and that was fine. I didn't care. I was called a ghost editor. Essentially, I just edited for them and helped them out because it's hard to edit that many videos so quickly. So anyway, I was doing great. Loved the job. Probably one of my, literally my favorite job ever. I mean, I still work with this couple sometimes. Anyway, doesn't matter. Point being, they were going to an event in LA, in Anaheim. So I was lucky enough to be able to fly out there and help film this event in Anaheim, California. And I got to go too. So we were out there, we filmed the event, and then afterwards we were at a party with that creator, and that creator had invited all of his creator friends, and we were there filming the party. I was filming the party. Sure. And so we were all hanging out there, and if you didn't know I was the ghost editor, you were very curious why Randy and Anna were invited to this channel. Because let me just spill it out for you. Like, there were people there who had 5 million subscribers, 4 million, 2 million. Like, most of the people there had at least 500,000 subscribers or more creators.
Wow.
There might have been someone with like 250, and they were like the low man on the totem pole. Most people there had at least 1 to 2 million subscribers and up, and at this party, and of like maybe 40, 50 people. And the other people who were there were like huge creators. Like the guy who made, do you know the what's the TV show The Chosen? He made that, and he's there.
Okay.
Anyway, and so big people in the industry, big people there. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're all there having fun, and the creator, the guy I work with, he like walks over to me and he's like giving me some instruction. He's like, "Hey, Randy, in a second, so and so is going to come out, so make sure you get that on camera." And I go, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And someone listening to us watching, she goes, "That's why you're here. You work with him." and he was like, "What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about." Because like back then it wasn't well known, and she said, "It all makes sense. I had no clue why he was here. Now it makes sense." And I was like, "Thanks."
Yeah. I'm an employee. That's why I'm here. Yeah.
But I will say, being in that room with all those people, kind of what you were saying, it has led to even more jobs and to much more clout. Yeah. And to the ability where I don't mind talking to someone who has 5 million subscribers. And I think we had 10,000 at the time subscribers.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I know how to talk to these people now. And it's partially because of that experience.
Yeah, and the language piece of it. They communicate different. You know that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people miss that. And that's the part. Cindy's like, what do you think will come out of all of this? I don't know. I said I'll meet some people that are way smarter than me. And I will have some connections that I never thought I would have through this. Yeah. And being able to do that and having, just having this platform, some of those guys will come be on the podcast.
Yeah, that's great.
People are going to look up at some point and go, how did Growth Over Comfort go from wherever we are right now to, okay, they're globally known. It's the rooms, it's the people. And it's being able to go into a room and not be creepy.
Yeah.
Just observe, pay attention, watch, be thankful that you're in there, and then just see where it goes.
And be helpful, add value.
Add value. Yeah, just add some value without taking away. I'm not going in to get anything. I'm going in to hopefully add something. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So can we talk more about like your opportunities lately? Like you've got some interesting stuff going on.
A little bit. I had one that just crumbled, and it was an interesting crumble. It was kind of my fault on the crumble. I thought I could, and I still could. I could still put it back together and do that, but I would have to force it. And I've come to the place that I don't try to force anymore.
There's more sand out there.
There's more sand. You can build another castle quicker than you can put that one back together because they have the molds and everything and moving faster in things. Coach Burt and I talked a lot, and I don't think he'd mind me sharing about, coming and doing some deals and being a part of his organization. And I'll be a part of that in some ways, but I don't think I'll be directly involved, at least not at this point.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about, getting into is a publicly traded company that's just building out, structuring out their executive team, and I will be a kind of a hybrid salesperson through Coach Burt in that company. I'll be paid through that company, but still be under Coach Burt a little bit with that.
That's awesome.
But I'll be in the room Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with all of them. It's their global summit for the company, and right now I think it's small. Like it's not this massive team of hundreds and thousands of people. It's just a small team of very highly skilled, very intentionally placed in the room people, and that's the room I'll be in. So I'll be in there with like one of the guys that's coming was like the head of Asian expansion for Google.
Oh wow, that's huge.
Yeah. And I'll be sitting beside him. I'm sure we'll have a conversation, and he'll be like, "What in the world?" That's Steve Miller from Alabama, baby. Let's go.
That's right. Roll
Growth
Tide.
over comfort. Roll Tide.
Yeah, but that's great. I'm excited for you.
But different things like that, and it's all because I've been willing to show up and do the right things the right way in Coach Burt's organization as often as I possibly could.
Yeah.
So and it's you start into something that's a year long and it sounds great up front, but when you're driving 2 hours up there, 2 hours back, at least monthly, and I probably was, 2-3 times a month for a year.
Yeah.
And it cost instead of made money.
Yeah.
There's some sacrifice to that. And I think people that matter recognize that sacrifice. They see it.
Yeah.
Okay, he'll show up.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, he'll show up and add value. Okay, he'll show up and actually take notes and do what we're asking him to do.
Yeah.
And then it starts to change.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So,
yeah.
And it is 2025 for me is going to be a big time learning year. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I really want to get good at, like really good at, is positioning myself and surrounding myself with people that have very similar standards and values.
Yeah.
Meaning we're going to show up early. We're going to stay late and work hard. Mm-hmm. If we say we're going to do it, we're actually going to do it. Because we live in a world now where they'll sign contracts and say, we're going to deliver this, we're going to do this, and we're going to be all in, and we're all excited, and there's an actual contract. They don't even go through the contract they have, let alone do what they say they're personally going to do.
Yeah.
And I've been fighting that, starting back. I want to go back through the 75 hard piece. And, a guy I work out with this morning, we were talking, and I'm real close to that now. Like I'm not far from that right now. So just tweaking a little bit and getting back in and doing.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, that's 75 days.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lie to myself and say I'm going to do it and not do it. So,
yeah.
I'm becoming very intentional with that. What about you? 2025 is an interesting start for you. So
yeah. You talked about contracts a little bit. Yeah, I've been kind of in a weird position lately where I thought I had something a bit more secure, and then it's kind of crumbled as well.
Yeah.
And it makes me think you shouldn't just have one sandcastle. Or don't put everything in front of one, or don't go running towards one massive sandcastle and not think about building up everything else, because it could crumble. Yeah, talking about contracts though, I really think 2024 taught me a lot of valuable things about hard work, about building stuff, about going all in on things. But one thing I've specifically learned over the last few months is contracts need to be way more airtight, and there need to be clauses and exemptions for certain things that allow not wiggle room, but it needs to adjust for different scenarios you may not ever think happen. When you're reading about rules and it's like, do not run with a banana outside of this pool or else you'll slip, whatever. And you're like, that's the dumbest rule ever. The reason is they've had someone do that and mess up and like screw up something. And so they had to make a rule about it. So therefore they could stop someone from doing it. I don't know. Weird example, but you get my point. Those crazy rules are there because someone did something at one point, at some point, and it burned them. Mm-hmm. And so they had put a rule in. Well, I've now let me just say I've added like 50 things to my contracts now. Yeah. Not really 50, but a lot.
Well, and I'll give you a scenario. When I was coaching football, as an assistant coach, we struggled punting one year, and it cost us a chance to play in the playoffs with we had a very good team. I think we had a chance to compete on the state level, so we were doing extremely well.
Yeah.
But because we couldn't punt and had trouble in the punting game and the kicking game, we lost the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
So when I became a head coach, there were times I wouldn't punt where everybody on the planet would have punted the football.
Yeah.
And people were like, why are you not punting? You need to punt. Because there was something in my head that didn't work. Yep. And then one of my favorite rules ever, there's a golf course, and I forget where the golf course is at, but there are monkeys on the golf course that'll pick your ball up.
Yeah.
and the rule on the golf course is play the ball where the monkey drops it.
That's pretty funny.
So there are contracts all over the world that have this is in place because the monkeys dropped it somewhere.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And we've got to have this in place. And people look at you going, no, you don't need that. There's no reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a big takeaway for me in 2024. I've sat in rooms with people that make over $100 million a year. I've listened to people that have done billion-dollar acquisitions. And one of the things they talk about is money. And the thing they always say is people get really weird when it comes to money.
Yeah.
So even if it's your best friend, even if y'all are great, if real money starts to flow, there's going to be controversy if the contract is not airtight.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, I think in the South we're trusting.
Mm-hmm.
My little brother, my brother, I say little brother all the time. He's younger than me, but my brother is like in the business world and doing well. And he said he used to think people were honorable and handled things like he handles things and we're good. And now he approaches it like everybody's a crook and they're going to steal everything. And his contracts are like that.
Yeah.
And he said, you're only as strong as your contracts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, there you go.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, it's all true. And it's a huge thing I've learned. And it's not that people aren't trustworthy, but it's exactly like you said. When money enters into the picture, people get weird and people start acting unlike what you would think they would act.
And
like.
nobody wants to say they don't have the money.
Yeah, exactly.
No adult wants to say to you, man, I'm sorry I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is all too often all that it is.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I just don't have it. I can't do it. Is there another way that we can work this out?
Yeah.
Which you're sitting on your side going, if they would just say that.
Yeah.
Then I could work it out. We could figure out a plan. We could pay this forward.
Yep.
I could do what I could do and deliver on my deliverables as long as they're making, payments. And
Sure.
From the school setting, it was strange. We would have some fees and stuff that would be owed sometimes. And I would set it up like with parents, like the most minimal payments you could make. And they wouldn't pay that. And then when it came time for the kid to do whatever, where those fees were supposed to be applied, they'd be all fighting mad to me when I go, no, you haven't paid, you can't play, or you can't participate.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're keeping my kid from participating? I'm like, no, you're keeping your kid from participating. I've called you, I've texted you, I've emailed you. We set you up on a plan that was doable for every person on the planet. And I even told you, if that didn't work to come back and see me, I've got nothing from you.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's really hard. Like you're talking about, money's iffy.
Yeah.
And when you put all of your money in one sandcastle,
and then it crumbles, you're like, well, I got to build back up.
yeah.
But to go back to your other question about what's 2025 look like, it is a building phase again in the beginning, at least for the first few months. But past that, I want to build differently. Like I had ideas about what I thought 2024 was going to look like and the stuff I was going to do. And I did some of that and realized, I don't know if I really liked it as much as I thought I was.
Right.
So I want to approach things differently. I want to double down on podcasts. And one thing that I really want to do that I'm not going to be able to stake all my time in it at all, but something I really want to put forward and work on is creating content that's for me, my team, and my people. So like this podcast, for example, Growth Over Comfort. And I also have another podcast, Coffee with Randy, that has only had like 2 episodes.
That's an amazing podcast, though.
Well, thanks. But I want to double down on creating content that isn't for anyone else, but for people that I am involved with or in. And that's not to say I'm not going to work with clients. Obviously, I have to work with clients to pay bills
Right.
and stuff. But I really want to push to make 2025. This is what I want to end it with. I want to say in 2025, I made at least $1 from my own content. And I kind of suspect that there's going to be multiple dollars. That's what I'm hoping and aiming for.
Yeah.
At least 2. 4 would be awesome. 8, I don't know what to even do with myself. But anyway.
$8.
$8. Woohoo.
Let's try to go to lunch one day on Growth Over Comfort income.
There we go. We could do it. I mean, back in the day, Randy and Anna, our channel, Randy and Anna, we used to make grocery money at least. Well, groceries were cheaper back then.
Yeah.
But we were bringing in some months $300 from YouTube ad revenue. So, that's nothing to scoff at.
Right.
It's something to run ads with and stuff, So,
Yeah.
Anyway, point being, I want to end this year by saying, and the thing too is like, it's actually so easy to do that because if you had content that just sold a service, then you could make a ton of money with that. And that's a revenue that I'm going to go down as well. But I specifically, what I'm trying to say is I want to make content that leads to real dollars, that doesn't rely on anyone else to also cough up money, but just maybe relies them to be entertained or to receive value from it. Now, the other part too, where I'm selling someone, sure, I'm fine with that. I'm not picky.
Yeah, one of the things for me, and it's been really unique in all the discussions and all the things that I've been doing, all of my circle keeps coming back to, hey, you can do that. Why doesn't Steve Miller just do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if I'm good enough to do that. They're like, oh, yeah, you're good enough to. Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
What does that revenue look like at the end of this year? And then really what does it look like if you do it and do it well and put yourself in it at the end of year 4?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Exponentially.
Yeah.
greater.
And, we're set up on this to where we both monetize. Obviously, you do the content, so you make more.
Yeah. Well,
But that's not a problem. I mean, there's nothing, I didn't come into this to get rich, but I do want to put out stuff that hopefully helps some people down the road, like you're talking about with your team. If we just help your team, it could probably help other teams.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think all of that's possible. And then, the guests we bring on are going to start expanding and getting bigger. And we had some unique big guests this year.
Oh, yeah. I had someone text me the other day and they said, did you do a podcast with Andy? And the funny thing is that it has been so long that I went, Andy who? What?
No big deal. We do that all the time.
Yeah. And I felt really dumb afterwards because they were like, Andy Elliott. And I'm like, yeah. We did. Yeah. I misunderstood her. I thought she meant like, did you do a podcast? Did you work on a pod? Anyway, but yeah, we've had amazing guests and that's only going to grow and it's only going to get bigger and better. And I'm excited for how growth over comfort grows.
Yeah, I am too. Because like I said, I'm in a position to feed more. And I think you're in a position mentally to grow different.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good position.
I think so.
Yeah.
For sure.
Got to have food to eat, to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else in 2025 that I want to do? That house in Seaside, I'm never against getting that, but I think it's going to take a lot more sandcastles.
Coach is looking at a property down there.
Oh man, of course he is.
To do like a greatness factory or some kind of money lab. And I told him, I said, Cindy is all in if you purchase that on us moving down there. Staying in the house and taking care of the property.
There you go.
He's like, I'm sure she is.
Yeah, I'll bet. Hey, listen, if we need to do a podcast down at on 30A somewhere, listen, I'm there.
we need to do a road trip and go do that.
We do. I'm set up to do that. Like we could do that very easily. This stuff is all very
not
mobile.
a problem for us.
And my other podcast is called Coffee with Randy, and it's essentially I go set up in a coffee shop and there's coffee shops down there is what I'm saying.
I could be on that podcast.
You could be on the podcast, walk up and, hey, imagine seeing you here, Coach Steve Miller.
It is 30A. I mean, this is where we want to hang out.
Yeah, exactly.
There are all kind of vision boards. There's all kind of things to get ready for 2025. I had somebody on the coaching side of things, big time, Billy Alsbrook. His wife asked, what are the 3 big things? What are you looking for in 2025? I want to be closer to Jesus. Mm-hmm. I want to be a more solid friend. And I want to intentionally impact people on a daily basis. If I can do that, I think it's a pretty good year. Yeah. And I think the rest of it will take care of itself. I think God honors that. Yeah,
that's really good. Yeah.
What about you? What's your 3?
My 3 things that I want to improve in 2025? That's a great question. I think I want to be more intentional with my time with my family because I have put so much into this business and everything, trying to get everything going and steady that there's definitely been days that I've been a better business owner than I have been a father. And I hate that because at the end of the day, if the business does great, but I don't have the family, then it's not worth it, Right. And so I think that's part of it is I intentionally need to be a better husband and a better father. Definitely not the worst, by the way, father or husband either. I feel like I've actually done pretty decent. I think
you're pretty solid.
Yeah. The fact that I care is one thing.
Yeah.
I want to get better personally a little bit every week. Have you heard the whole phrase, people overestimate what they can do in the short term and underestimate what they can do in the long term? Mm-hmm. Well, if you just get 1% better, whatever that cadence is, over a span of time, at the end of, I mean, if you did that weekly, at the end of the year, you'd be 52% better. Who wouldn't take 52% better than where they're at now? And that's just 1% every week. And how do you do that? You know, how do you come up with some sort of thing that builds your self-esteem, such as like doing 75 hard? You're like, hey, I kept my word doing these tasks, so therefore I'm going to do better. And all these tasks make me better. So that's going to make the rest of me better as well. So I think I want to intentionally be better with family, intentionally be better with myself, and intentionally, I'm just using the word intentionally a lot.
I like it.
But grow into the business owner that I know I want to be, and that I know my team and my future team needs me to be. Because you've said this so much to me, and it's really meant a lot to me, and I think about it quite often. But I need to grow to a new level to get to where I want to be. And if I'm running into problems, it's because I haven't grown enough. And there's something that's keeping me from achieving those new levels. And it's just something in me needs to grow more. Where I'm currently at is limiting me from going to where I want to be. You've said certain things that are adjacent, but that's what you...
I'll give you the Nick Saban, just the Nick Saban
Maybe
quote
that's
in that.
what it is, yeah.
The Nick Saban quote in that, he's talking to his coaching staff, and he's like, if you have a player not doing what they're supposed to do, either you're coaching them to do it that way or they don't respect you enough to do it that way.
Yeah.
And both of those are wrong.
Yeah.
The contract deal you just had trouble with, it's not necessarily a contract. It's either you didn't communicate or they didn't respect you enough.
Yeah.
Because there are people in your business that if that happened, the response wouldn't have been the same from the client.
Yeah.
It's just they would have handled it in a way that would have moved that client forward, and the payment would have been made, and they may have walked away after the contract, but they wouldn't have walked away during.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hard to handle.
It is hard. It is hard.
But it's the reality of it. And I'm in the same spot. Like the deal that I told you that crumbled, it's my fault. Like, it's not somebody else's fault. That's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
But it's things like that that need to be said. And it goes back to where I'm currently, the level I'm currently operating at has to increase if I want to move forward. In some way. Personally.
You personally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the way I'm currently handling myself needs to change if I want to move to a next level. Because then what happens is if you accidentally somehow get to play in that next level, you will quickly get bumped out.
Yeah.
And I believe that I started playing at that next level and then realized, no, I actually am not ready. And I got bumped out. And so now I'm like, well, I got to get back in there. It's time to get back on the horse and get going.
Yeah, I've learned so much in the last 3 months about me personally through the stuff I've been going through.
Yeah.
That I have a chance to stay in the room I'm about to sit in. Had I not learned that, if October me would have sat down Monday in that room, I would have got bumped quick.
Yeah.
Like it would have been no.
Yeah.
But January me, because of the growth that was very uncomfortable, has a chance to stay in there.
Yep.
Same thing on your part.
Oh, yeah,
You'll
for
go
sure.
into 2025 so different with so much momentum.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it going, man, you don't know what I'm dealing with. It's not momentum. I don't know what's happening to me. But it's so much momentum personally that 2025 can be unlike anything you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And very few people get that.
Yeah.
Very few people get to have that. And you've got the opportunity for that, which is cool.
It is cool. Just takes a lot of work.
Yeah, and there's
But that's okay. It shouldn't be easy. If it was easy, it wouldn't be special, and it wouldn't have the same results.
Right.
You know?
Right. Myron Golden, we can close with Myron Golden. Myron Golden said, and he used the illustration, he said, you got two paths to walk with everything that you do. He said, you got the path that's right and you got the path that's wrong. And he said, all the time in your head with every decision, big and small, there's things in you always wanting to choose the wrong path.
Yeah.
And they scream louder than the right path screams.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to walk away from the wrong path with all the screaming for you to go over here and walk down the right path. Big or small.
That's good.
It's easier on the big, but the small is where it changes.
Yeah. Yep.
This is no fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really hard. Speaking of momentum, you feel like you're in a rut and that rut naturally leads you to the wrong path all the time. So then think about like a wheel coming out of a rut, how hard that is to get into the right path.
I've got a friend dealing with alcohol stuff. Mine's
That's
sugar.
hard. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give up sugar. That sounds good. Till I want a peanut M&M.
Yeah.
Or until I'm driving down the road going, that means I don't get to eat any kind of pie or a cupcake. And I like pie and cupcakes.
Yeah.
It has to be what an alcoholic feels like.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I don't know.
It's hard.
So,
thank you guys so much for watching Growth Over Comfort. Leave a comment down below. What are you guys looking forward to in the year 2025? What are your plans? What are your 3 things? And leave them down below. We'll reply to them and chat about them. Maybe if we get enough of them, we'll share some in the next episode or
100%.
something. You know, that'd be cool. It'd be fun.
yeah,
to
that'd
do
be
that.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So share us some things and maybe we'll talk about them next episode. But if not, then thank you guys for watching and listening, and go out there and choose growth. See you guys next time.